Right now, first on the WHAS11 night team, we have a breaking news update for you. All back open and clear, running well tonight. We're looking at the Waton Expressway after a major crash shut down all of the westbound lanes earlier this evening. This new update coming just about 15 minutes ago. But folks, take a look at what this looked like just before 9:30 tonight. There you see it, a large police, fire, and EMS presence right parked on the westbound lanes approaching Bardstown Road. We learned that at least 4 vehicles were involved in a crash here, and that was according to Trimark. Again, it shut down the roadways. And then watching the Trimark cameras, look at the backup. At one time, it stretched eastward all the way back to Breckenridge Lane. Now, that's a wider picture of the mess on the Waterson tonight for a couple of hours. We've been in contact with Metro Police for specific details. As of news time, we have not heard back, but at least the good news tonight, the roadway is back open there at the Waterson in Bardstown. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the night team. I'm Doug Proffitt. Also here tonight, busted and in jail, 4 men caught by police in St. Matthews. Police say they were distributing fake gift cards for you to buy and activate. WHAS11 night team's Clarice Shaley is talking to the St. Matthews police chief about this massive gift card scam.
Gift cards upon gift cards, close to 3,000 of them confiscated by St. Matthews police before they were headed to the shelves. Investigators say they were valued at over $1 million. 4 men are now facing charges accused of unsealing the cards, changing their PIN numbers, and resealing them. Then, when money is loaded, that money's stolen, leaving a zero balance for an unknowing customer.
We had 2 in that same day, but third or fourth time this has happened in St. Matthews.
The most recent incident came from the St. Matthews Kroger, making customers wonder which of those gift cards on the shelves have been tampered with and which ones have not.
We come here once a week, and it's kind of scary.
I'm really disappointed that people would do that. People looking to get something for free, but then they're cheating you, they're cheating us, they're cheating everybody who gets a fake card.
The 4 recent suspects were apprehended by police because of Kroger's loss prevention. They contacted the department after surveillance footage showed the men placing the cards on the racks.
Loss prevention here has done a very diligent job of looking at individuals who might be doing this, and they've already had it happen in the past, so they know what to look for.
These 3 to 4 cases in St. Matthews have all happened this year. I asked why.
We are a large shopping district, so that might be part of it. I'm not sure as to the fact why just this area. I don't think it's contained here.
The department has involved Homeland Security in the investigation.
It seems to be very far-reaching. These individuals, for the most part, appear to be coming from the California area. We have some information where they've actually traveled down through the Northeast, going to different cities and more than likely doing the same thing.
Check for signs of tampering.
You can protect yourself from these scams if you know what to look for.
Consumers need to be very diligent in looking at these to make sure they're not altered.
An extra step to keep in mind when out shopping for the holidays. In St. Matthews, Clarice Shaley, WHAS11 night team on your side.
We have more on this topic right here tonight. How can you protect yourself when buying those gift cards? The holiday season's coming up. Police shared this advice. First, inspect the packaging, and if a PIN number is exposed or the card appears tampered with, do not buy it. Second, keep the receipt with the card and pass it along to the recipient. And third, consider buying cards directly from the company. Well, you have been there, driving at night on our major interstates in Louisville, so frustrated, probably saying, where are the lights? There are 1,500 lights out on Louisville's interstates and expressways at the moment due to that ongoing series of copper thieves hitting those lights, stealing those wires. Now, a new task force assembled by the city is hoping to change all that. This is made up of city and state prosecutors, LMPD, recycling businesses, and the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. The force is trying to prevent theft by converting some lights to solar, but also step up city ordinances requiring recyclers to record seller information. The Metro Council President Marcus Winkler says it's become difficult to report the thieves since they burn the copper wire to make sure they can't be traced.
I think right now it's just a picture of the ID and a license plate, so there may be some additional reporting requirements. I think, one of the things that we know is people bringing in burnt copper, so there may be some additional limitations around that. So those are all the things we're looking at to determine what are the appropriate guardrails that need to be put in place.
Both the Transportation Cabinet and AT&T are offering rewards for information leading to convictions of the copper thieves. Tips can be made by calling anonymously at 574-LMPD. Emotional moments inside the Louisville federal courtroom today during the retrial of former LMPD Detective Brett Henson. He's accused of violating the civil rights of Breonna Taylor and her apartment neighbors when he fired shots into the side of her apartment first. Today, prosecutors showed a photo of Taylor inside her apartment after the shooting in March of 2020. They also brought in one of the plastic blinds covering a neighbor's sliding glass door with a bullet hole in it. On the stand, LMPD Sergeant Jason Vance testified that he, quote, could not understand Hankison's firing into the side of the apartment. Hankison firing 10 shots, saying, quote, if you can't isolate your target, you cannot shoot. Hankison has previously said he was trying to protect his fellow officers. And defense attorneys argue the case is about what the officer perceived at the time. We've been covering this trial since its beginning. We'll have more from the federal courtroom tomorrow. After former Clark County, Indiana Sheriff Jamie Knoll pleaded guilty to theft and fraud charges, a Southern Indiana lawmaker is proposing legislation she says will address the, quote, root problem, end quote. Now, Representative Wendy Dan Chesser unveiled her proposal today, including changes to the jail commissary fund. That's a fund meant for jail improvements and to help buy personal items for the inmates. Court records show Jamie Knoll stole more than $700,000 from that fund while he was sheriff. Dan Chesser says right now there's only a requirement to post expenses from that fund twice a year. She thinks it should be much higher.
Those loose legal languages surrounding sheriff's commissary funds is just one of the ways that our former sheriff funneled money to his private jets and vacations.
I don't know exactly what the policy should look like, but there certainly needs to be more transparency around the commissary fund.
Republican Ed Clear, whom you heard from right there, says he has talked with Dan Chesser about this legislation. Dan Chesser says she's in the drafting process of this bill package for the January session. All new on the WHAS11 night team, a vacant church that was damaged in a large fire 2 weeks ago near downtown Louisville is now considered to be abandoned. A notice is now posted on the fence surrounding the former St. Paul's German Evangelical Church on East Broadway. It calls the property a, quote, clear danger to the community and a potential fire hazard. You may remember we showed it to you as it happened on the night team. The 188-year-old church catching fire on October 9th. Nobody was hurt. In a statement, a spokesperson for Codes and Regulations says they're going to continue to try to reach the property owner, called Kentucky Medical Center Hotel. But in the meantime, they're bringing in an engineer to determine the next steps and to see if there's a way to preserve at least the church's facade. Your voice, your vote. Well, at this time, on this very day, 2 weeks from now, we may have a clearer picture on just who's going to be the next president of the United States. Tonight, Louisville Urban League young professionals hosted a discussion where they talked about some of the most prominent issues that Louisville voters care about. WHAS11 night teams Alex Dederer and photojournalist Levi Hammer were there in Smoketown tonight. And Alex, there was a unique panel of voters you found tonight.
Right, Doug. Well, the night opened up with a panel of 3 young voters. These were students and graduates of the University of Louisville. Just this year alone, Gen Z and millennials make up nearly half of the eligible voting population. And with years of low voter turnout for these age groups, tonight we heard from them personally about what drives them to the polls and why young votes matter.
My vote matters.
The voices of young Louisville voters.
Voting is demanding to be heard, and I will be heard.
Echoed through the chapel of Bates Memorial Baptist Church in Smoketown.
Even if your candidate does not win the election, your vote shows what you think is important.
Exactly 2 weeks out from a presidential election that is down to a sprint.
I have children and I want their future to be bright.
But we need you to come out to the polls because your vote is your voice.
A panel of 3 U of L students and graduates discussed a question on many people's minds. Why does your vote matter?
People talk about their cars or fashion or even getting their license, and I was like, that is all politics.
people are making decisions on your behalf.
Followed by a panel of professionals from across the metro, including Lyndon Pryor of the Urban League.
Young leaders and young voters are among the largest emerging demographic, and they are oftentimes the demographic that we don't talk to enough. And so we need to hear their voice. We need to see what things are concerning to them.
The young voters mentioned the economy, student loans, and education as issues that drive them to the polls. Adler John Hatton Jr. is a U of L undergrad student.
My family immigrated here from Haiti. It's a small island in the Caribbean about 22 years ago. They've been in this country for 22 years and they still cannot vote.
And with just 2 weeks until the polls open, these young voters see their ballot as much more than a piece of paper.
I'm not just voting for me. I'm not just voting for my family. I am voting for the betterment of my community, and I am voting for the betterment of my children and my children's children.
All voters in Indiana are already able to cast their ballots through early voting. In Kentucky, in-person excused voting begins tomorrow, with unexcused voting starting October 31st. That's when any Kentucky voter can go to the polls early. Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. In studio, Alex Dieterer, the WHAS 11 night team on your side.
And we are in those countdown days to that election. Thank you, Alex. The vice presidential candidate, the Democrat Tim Walz, is going to be making a stop right here in Louisville tomorrow. Walz, who is running alongside Kamala Harris, as you know, is going to be in town tomorrow afternoon for a private fundraiser in the city. So don't be surprised if you see some road closures or parking restrictions. The Minnesota governor is no stranger to Kentucky and is close friends with Governor Andy Beshear, who was also in the running to be Harris's running mate. Donald Trump's running mate, by the way, J.D. Vance, was in Kentucky back in August. He attended a private fundraiser in Lexington.